Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how to build the best glass enclosure for your tarantula or some similar critter. This was highly anticipated video because of a couple of reasons. Firstly, I already made a DIY tutorial on how to make a glass enclosure, but that video was made I recorded it 6 years ago in my old apartment, so the quality is a bit worse, the quality of the video. And even though the technique that I showed you in that video, it is still valid today, you can still build enclosures like that today. For last 3 years I moved away from that technique, and I've been developing and testing my very own design, and this is it. I assume that majority of you that are watching my videos already know what is this. This is the dark den enclosure, but for you that accidentally stumbled on this video and just want to build a cool enclosure for a tarantula, let me show you how it works. Firstly, the most important thing that enclosure needs to have is ventilation. And the best kind of ventilation is cross ventilation, and that is exactly what this enclosure got. You see on front you have this sleek looking vent that enables air to enter into the enclosure, and also on top you have another even sleeker looking vent, and that enables the cross ventilation. Air enters through here and exits through here, or other way around depending on the temperatures and everything. But this ventilation setup enables air to circulate inside of the enclosure. And even though enclosure with just top ventilation can't function, this is way better. So this is first feature of this enclosure, but it is not a unique thing. A lot of enclosures that you can build also offer this. But next feature, I don't think that any enclosure that you can build by yourself can offer. And that is of course a door that can open simply like this. You see, it is super easy, and at the same time the enclosure is locked. But when you lift it gently, then it opens without any problem, and it is really seamless, you see? And this is basically the best feature of this enclosure. This is the main reason why I started developing this enclosure style. But features doesn't stop there. Not only that you can open it like this, you can also remove this top part, and now you have a complete entrance into your enclosure. You can easily escape it, put the background, put the substrate, do the maintenance, take a picture of your tarantula or whatever. This simple feature bumps the usability of this enclosure to another level. If you ever set up enclosure by yourself, then you know how much this is worth. And last feature that is still not implemented but will be in the future, you see these holes. These holes will enable you to securely stack one enclosure on the other. Currently, even without this, you can stack the enclosures. You see, you can just put it like that, and it is all right. But in the future, I will also make a special legs that will go on the... I actually have a 3D printer, just the idea, so you know what I'm talking about. This is not good, I'm just testing it out, but this will go underneath, and then on bottom you will have pins that will go inside of these holes on the enclosure, and that way you will be able to stack the enclosures and also to put light underneath the enclosure. But that is a story for the future, yeah. Now I will show you how you can build it by yourself. First thing that you need to do, you need to go to the Dark Den web shop and order yourself some parts. Those are these plastic parts that you can see on the enclosure. When they arrive in the box, you will have 5 separate plastic parts, you see. You will have a safety pin. Oh, I didn't even mention, this safety pin goes inside of this, and then there is just no way to open this enclosure. But even without this safety pin, the enclosure cannot really be opened from the inside by the animal. I mean, it needs to be like some huge Terrafosa styrmi that is big like this, so she can actually leave the enclosure in order to, leave the door in order to open it. So far, I never had it happen. But that's why you get this for extra safety. And also you will get 4 of these. These are the legs that you stick underneath the enclosure, you see? 1 in each corner, and that enables your enclosure to just gently slide across the surface. And last thing in the box will be this blueprint, you see. This will give you the schematic of how to assemble the enclosure, how the enclosure needs to look. And over here you will find the list of all the glass parts that you need to order in order to build a terrestrial, arboreal, fossorial or long terrestrial. So by ordering this set, you will get schematics for 4 different enclosures. You just show this to your local glassman and he should be able to provide you with the glass parts that you need for the enclosure. The dimensions you see are in metrics, so you need to be sure that your local glassman can work with these dimensions, and also that he can provide you a 4mm thickness glass, 3mm thickness glass, and also 2mm thickness glass, because there are different thicknesses of the glass for different panels. I will explain everything now as we go. These are the 5 parts. This is the top ventilation, as you can see. These are the doors. For the door, this is the top part, this is the bottom part. These are top parts, they go here, they enable you to slide the glass, but also hold the door in place. And this last one is the front ventilation panel, and also there is a hole where the door goes. The reason why dimensions are in metrics is because I'm from Europe, from Croatia, and I work with metric system, and all the glass that I can get is in metric system, so therefore I had to make the plastic parts to fit that. Also, I didn't explain, these plastic parts are not 3D printed. You know that I used to have all of these enclosures, their parts are 3D printed, but those parts are a bit janky, they aren't so precise and they can break easily. These are actually mold injected plastics, and this is how you get that. You see, you have a mold where you actually stick the plastic and it spreads, fills the mold, and you get these parts, and then you just snap it from that like this. You see, just it goes like that. And someone is calling me, but I can't really answer now. The tools that you need to build this enclosure are pretty basic. The main thing that you need is the silicone gun, and inside you need the silicone. Be sure to get silicone that is safe for aquariums. That is a special silicone that doesn't contain fungicide, I believe, or something like that. Together with that, it is good to have some sort of hammer or something, because these parts you need to gently hammer them on the glass, but it is not needed. You can use anything. You can even hammer it with your cell phone without a problem if you want to use your cell phone for that. And also, what will maybe be useful when you start for the first time to build the enclosure, it is a painter's tape to hold everything in place, but I'm not really using it, and I will show you that you don't really need it, because silicone is pretty tacky, so once you connect the parts and don't mess with them, they will generally stay in place. So I will show you how to do that. If I remember to make them, in the description you will also find Amazon affiliate links for all the things that you need for building the enclosure. So in case you are missing something, you will just go there and click it, and that will be the easiest for you. And here are the glass panels that you will need. If you check the list for terrestrial enclosure, first you need 4mm thickness 200 by 200 millimeters sheet, or 20 by 20 centimeters, whatever. You need 3 of them for left, right and back. You see, left, right and back. And I have them right here. These 3, they are 20 times 20 times 20, and they are a bit dirty. Also, you need one similar sheet of 200 times 192 millimeters, and that is number 2. You see, number 2 for the bottom part, and that is right here. It is basically just like this, just same width, but a bit shorter, you see. Next is bottom front part, and that is number 3. 20 times 70 millimeters, 200 by 70 millimeters, and that is right here. So let's put that down. Number 4 are doors, you see, 197 times 110 millimeters. Those are all 4 millimeters thickness, while the one for the top side, both for the top side, one is 2 millimeters thick and the other one is 3 millimeters thick. This one is 2 millimeters and this one is 3 millimeters. And before we start building the enclosure, I need to show you what are the ways of connecting plastic parts with the glass, because that is arguably the trickiest part. Naturally, you can use only silicones to glue everything, and that will work quite decent. Silicone, it is not perfect for connecting these plastic parts, but the silicone will hold, especially the door and front ventilation and such, because the parts got grooves where you just stick the glass in. So then, even on its own, without any glue, the plastic parts are holding, you see. You can still remove them, but they are holding quite decently. Although for longevity you want to glue them with at least silicone. The only part that partially don't have those grooves is the top ventilation. You see, this top part entirely is just a flat piece that just goes on the glass like this. Only glue will hold it, but that is something that is in the back, and it is not really that you will ever interact with that. So in majority of scenarios the silicone will hold, but for that, if you can get your hands on something else, I would recommend some other stuff. I glued some samples here on the glass so you can see the difference in between the strength. And then by yourself you can decide what to use. This first one is glued with the silicone, so check the force that I need to separate it. I had to use a bit of force. Unfortunately I don't have any measurements, but I had to push it in order to break it. It was holding, but not that much. This next one is glued with this Loctite, you see, Precision Max, and it is just a basic super glue thing, so you can buy it wherever. So now look at the force. Oh, it's actually quite strong now. Ha! You see, it is pretty strong, but you need to use a lot, especially for that back part. I'm generally using that for all the parts except for the back. And for the back, I'm currently using this brand, you see, Bison, however you pronounce that, max repair power or max repair strength. There are different models, so that is this. And now look at this. It is like super, you see, you can still break it, but you need a lot of force. So on the back, I mean, something crazy needs to happen in order for that to break from the back. And you see the difference. The super glue didn't stick to glass very well, while the Bison thing didn't stick to the plastic very well. So therefore this is now experiment. I combined super glue on plastic and Bison thing on the glass. So I just wanted to see if it will hold better. Oh yes. Oh man. I'm actually now testing this, and I can tell you that I'm extremely satisfied with this result. Maybe I will use this for when I'm building the enclosures for sale. This is also a test where I'm testing the Bison epoxy 5 minutes. You see, this is like a two-component epoxy where you mix it up, and it is a bit trickier to use, but I just want to see the strength with this type of plastic. Definitely not worth it. It doesn't stick to the plastic very well. So these two are the options. Both will work. I think that this one works a bit better, and if you combine both, then it seems like it is the best, but I don't think that it is worth the hassle. And for majority of time, just the simple silicone will also do. But since you are building the enclosure, if something breaks, you can easily repair it. You just scrape off the silicone and use a super glue or something else if you want to have a better, stronger connection. Now with that out of the way, I can actually build the enclosure. First we build the door, so take the glass for that, and also take these two plastic parts, you see. This one is for the top and this one is for the bottom. And we are starting with the bottom. Always before gluing or siliconing, you want to clean the edge that you are using. The ideal thing is to use the alcohol to clean it if the glass is really dirty. But this glass is not really that dirty on the edge. I'm using the super glue by just simply applying it to the edge of the glass like that. Take the bottom piece and put it, attach it to the glass with hammer, or yeah, as I said, you can use the cell phone like this, like pam, 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 pam. But this small rubber hammer is a bit more elegant. Make sure that there is no gap in between glass and the plastic in this corner. And then same thing for the bottom. Use some item where you can place the part like this, because there are pins here and here, so you cannot put it and bang it on the table. You will just break the pins, so put it on something like this. Same thing, apply the super glue or silicone depending on what you want. Make sure that your pin is on the same side as on the bottom, and just do the same thing. Just bang it down. And the door is ready. Now take some surface on which you will build the enclosure, ideally some plastic piece or something, or you can build it on your table, but the silicone will make contact with the surface on the bottom, so it will stick to it. you will be able to like remove it, but you don't want stains on your table, or yeah. So that's why I suggested to use something else. Take some object on which you can lean your back panel. This is 20 by 20 back side, and then take your bottom panel that is 20 by 19 by 20 by 19-ish. Clean those edges and apply the silicone. You need to apply silicone on 3 edges. Just make sure that are correct ones. You need to apply on 2 longer sides, so 20 centimeters, and on 1 shorter side, that is 19-ish centimeters. You apply it at once, like this. Start from one side, go across the corner, then continue on the other side. Stop at the corner. Do a... oh no. This can be a bit tricky, but you will handle it for sure. Especially a bit tricky when you are trying to record the whole process. There. Make sure that you have plenty of silicone at the corners, you see, and also on the front part, and on this corner, you see, and on front. If you don't have enough, use your finger to smear it around a bit. Don't be afraid of it. Put more silicone on your finger and apply it if you missed somewhere. You want to cover all the spots to make sure that the enclosure won't leak. And if you miss a spot, there is still a way to prevent your enclosure from leaking later. But if you do this correctly now, then you have one less step to do. Now we connect this bottom part with the back part that we have leaned over here. So what you do, you just stick it in like this, you see? Nothing special. Make sure that it is centered and that on left and right side you have approximately the same lip, because now the left and right side will go like this, you know? They will stick to this edge and also to this edge where you already applied the silicone. That means that for the left and right, we only need to apply the silicone to one edge. It doesn't really matter which edge, because these panels are 20 by 20 by 20 by 20, so everything is the same. You can't really miss. And here is a little advice. To apply your silicone precisely on the edge, you need to cut this thingy on the silicone. I don't know how this is called. Cut it like this. You have a groove and also a V-shaped on the tip, you see? That is because this V-shaped part goes perfectly like, you see? Perfectly like that. You're just siliconing one side of the glass, which is ideal for this situation. It's so hard to record and do this. Sometimes you get silicone where you don't want it, but you can easily remove it with your finger, or if you accidentally got it on the side, let it cure and then you can just scrape it off with a scalpel or something like that. Always have a piece of paper towel nearby so you can clean your fingers after that. Now put that silicone edge on front and stick it right into this corner, you see? Like that. And then go up, squeeze this here. Make sure that it is square here, you see? And basically the silicone will stick on its own, or you can use the painter's tape to make sure that it will hold in place. But this, now you have one side. Next we do the same thing with the other side. We no longer need this because everything holds. You take third and last 20 by 20 panel. Also the same thing, you cannot miss. You can't silicone the wrong edge because all edges are the same. So simply go with the flow. Again, I forgot to say, the bottom edge, you want to leave a bit more silicone, just to have more silicone in the corners to prevent the water from dripping out of it. So take it like this. This is the silicone part, and just go like, see, maybe I can lower the camera a bit. Just stick it gently in the corner, level it with this edge and press. When you are pressing everything, make sure that this edge is not moving, that everything is still straight. And if you were precise enough, then you can put this top part here, just like this, to make sure that everything stays in place and that this gap is appropriate. We still aren't gluing this. You see, I can still remove it. This is just holding the glass panels in correct spacing for the door and everything. Currently it should look like this, but check this out. If this happens, this is completely normal. When you put this plastic part, then this can happen. You see, this edge is not perfectly aligned, but this is not a problem. Just be sure that this side is perfectly aligned, just like this. Be sure that this side is aligned. This one doesn't really matter. When glassman cuts it for you, it is never ideal. There are always some difference. Difference like this can happen, but it is completely okay. The enclosure will function perfectly as long as this edge is completely straight. Even if it's not, it will still function, but it is better that this one is straight than this one. Next is front part, and that is 20 by 70. For that we are applying silicone to all of these edges. But unlike these panels where we applied silicone on the narrower edge, for this we will apply it on this edge. I'm gonna show you so you will understand immediately. You see, you apply it like this. Don't forget to add more silicone on the corner. Let me go all the way here. Again, more silicone here. And back up like this. Oh, something like that will also happen. Don't worry about it. You clean that after it's cured. It just scrapes off. So this is front part. So the silicone part goes like this. Hold it from the back and press. Make sure nothing else moves, of course. Especially this corner, as I already mentioned. That one needs to be 90 degrees perfectly. This is where I messed up with the silicone, but it's okay. Now we need to apply the super glue once again on this edge, because also a little bit here and here, because that is where front ventilation goes. When you are putting the front ventilation, make sure that this corner is aligned. You will see there is a lip, you see? There shouldn't be gap between the glass and the plastic. So once you got that aligned, you just go like bam, 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 bam. Gentle bams, because you don't want to disturb the enclosure. If you did everything correctly, the door should just slide like this. You see? Already it holds. But now these two comes into play. You take this one with the hole. Once again, take the super glue and apply it inside of that. You see, like this, you don't really need a lot. I will put the camera on the other side, don't be confused by that. But you will see it better like this. You just put that, align this edge of plastic with this edge of glass, and just bam, 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 bam. And if you did everything correctly, the door should open like this. Same thing for the other side, but this side doesn't have the hole, but it got something else. You see this groove? It should be oriented to this side of the enclosure. So make sure to follow that and just then it will look something like this. This plastic is aligned with this glass, and that is perfect. Excellent, just what you want. Taking the camera back on this side. You can gently slide the top part in like this. See? And then we apply the silicone on this edge to connect the final glass part, and that is this 3 mm thick part. If you are also using silicone to connect the plastic parts, you then silicone this entire area, but if not, then you just want to silicone this section where the glass comes, like that, and the other side. Then just put glass at its spot. You see, it should look like this, leaving you with just last piece, and that is top ventilation. That goes right here, but you want to apply the silicone or the glue, depending on what you use, on this edge. If you are using silicone, you already applied silicone here, you just need to add more silicone on this edge. You see this edge, but I find it easier to apply the silicone or the glue on this plastic part actually. So that's what I'm gonna do. You want to add a lot of glue because this is the weakest part. Now on this edge, and the grand finale, Ta-da! And that is it. That is all that you need to do in order to build enclosure just like this by yourself. I would say it is not that complicated, but to make it not really messy, you need to have a bit of practice. So expect to have a couple of messy ones at first. But overall, I don't think that it is something complicated to do, and I'm pretty sure that majority of you watching this video can easily, okay, maybe not easily, but majority of you can do this. Even if you never did something like this, it can easily be a fun project that you can do. And the available sizes of the enclosures that you can build are like this. This is the cube 20 by 20 by 20. You can also build arboreal enclosures like this, 20 by 30 by 20, or a fossorial enclosure of that dimensions. All blueprints are included in the paper that you receive, and the way you build those enclosures, it is the same as this one. You just have the glass of different dimensions. Or if you are super creative and you can figure out the blueprints by yourself, you can make a custom designs like this beast. This uber fossorial tower, it is 60 centimeters tall, but the door and top parts and bottom part, it is completely the same as that one. The only difference is sides, left, right and back, and also this front side, they are different, they are taller, but that is it. Everything else is the same and the parts are completely the same. And also in the future I will make a detailed video of how you can combine two sets of these plastic parts to build wider enclosures like this one, you see? Yeah, but that will be a bit more advanced for people that got a bit of DIY experience. So, I hope that this was understandable. I hope that I motivated you to make something like this, to make a premium tarantula enclosure for yourself. In case you have just a couple of tarantulas, I definitely suggest that you keep them in nice glass enclosure like this one, because you have those tarantulas to display them, right? I understand that it is a bit too expensive to have the whole, when you have like 60, 70 tarantulas, to have every tarantula in nice enclosure like this one. But if you only have a couple, make sure to have them displayed correctly. So I hope that you are motivated and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs it up and comment something. If you want to support this channel even more, there's a Patreon page. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I upload on Monday, sometimes on Friday. So see you again soon. Bye.